Hey folks, I'm standing here in the chicken brooder, finishing up getting things prepared for our first batch of chickens for the 2025 season at Wild East. This week we're getting 600 chickens, 100 turkeys, 8 pigs, so it's a big transition as we move into the season, and wanted to show you some footage of introducing them and some of the preparation work we've done to get ready for the arrival of over 700 animals. Please make sure to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's get into it. All right, so if you remember from other videos, we got a concrete pad put in halfway through last season, as opposed to the earthen floor that was in here, and it's made a very big difference in terms of rat control, as well as coccidiosis. There were layer chickens from the previous owner in here. It was set up as a little chicken coop, and coccidiosis can stay in the soil dormant even through winter time, very cold temperatures, and re-emerge. And in our first season we were having some issues with that. So just gonna do a little walkthrough of the setup. We've got lights evenly dispersed. This is enough lights for the 600 chickens we house in here. Same thing, we've got 3 feeders that can each hold 35 pounds spread out amongst the space of the brooder. And then these Gillis drinkers, which are hooked up on a gravity system that just drips out when the chicks peck. And you can see it's got the little silver nipple, but also this red part. And that's because the chicks are immediately attracted to red. It's part of why you see so much of the chicken brooder equipment is that color. But they just come up, and when they peck it like that, water comes out. It's a very low maintenance system, and I'll show you how it's hooked up that we never have to refill it manually, and the chicks and turkeys stay having access to clean, fresh water 24/7 without us having to do much work. A quick tip on how we have the feeders and lights and waterers all strung up is this cool knot that I learned back when I was a teenager doing a lot of backpacking. And I think it might have several names, but I learned it as a grip hitch, which you can look up tutorials for how to tie. It's extremely simple, but what it does is it's statically very tight. I'm not worried about it sliding up and down, but if I pinch the top here, I can just slide down, and that lowers the light. Or if I grab here and pull up, which I can't really do with one hand, it slides it back up. So as the chicks get bigger, as they need less heat, or as the shavings go up in our deep litter system, we can easily slide these up and down as necessary. Now we also have 3 fans stationed in the brooder above chick height so that they don't get a draft on their bodies, but so that air is constantly circulating around the brooder, keeping any stagnant air from posing an issue. Similarly, to keep draft off of the chickens, we just have boards put in above chick height on the base here, so the air can move in through the mesh, but it's not affecting them down where they actually are, because wind and draft can be a major limiting factor for animal health as well as plant health in a lot of contexts. Turkey brooder, a bit more simple, but that's because we only do around 100 at a time in here. So same thing, couple lights, feeder, We use the Placid bell waterer in here that's just rigged up to a 5-gallon bucket on a float valve. And we found it's really important with these float valves to put little blocks of wood, because to get these screws tight enough that the float valve doesn't tilt up from being loose and therefore overflow, it actually can crack. These screws can crack the plastic, which leads to constant leakage if it's not addressed. So these little wood blocks are a quick fix for that. It's not trash, it's just an old labeled bucket. In here, airflow is very important for turkeys. So we have one fan facing in and one fan facing out, and that creates a circular motion of air in here. And this space has an additional room for when the turkeys get a bit bigger and they need a little more space. But for the first several weeks, this is plenty for them. We put these boards up blocking the other room quite high, because pretty quickly turkeys can jump higher than you'd expect, and that excludes them from the other room until they're ready. But yeah, this space is looking ready for 100 poults to arrive this week. I've documented the watering system in a video from last year, but wanted to reiterate it because I think it's so important to find ways to automate elements of the brooder without compromising the animal's health. And we've been successful at that with watering. Our first year, we were manually filling waters and cleaning them out, and that is very time consuming. So we found this system I'm going to show you that has helped quite a bit. So down there on the other end of the barn on the ground, there's a hydrant that we have a hose hooked up to, and we run it through the barn loft here into this 50-gallon drum that is also on a float valve. So it stays constantly refilling. We never really have to come up here and fill it, although it is. And we just have some very simple plumbing going to this little valve that we installed. The one going straight goes down to the chicken brooder, those Gillis drinkers I was showing you. And then this T runs to a hose that goes across the barn loft and down into the turkey brooder. So both are filling, and the float valve keeps it full, but keeps it from overflowing as well. And with this being a steady stream of water, it stays fresh. We do empty it out and refill it with totally fresh water between batches, but have never had issues with contamination or anything like that with the water. So very happy with this setup. It's really important when automating systems to keep a very close eye on things at first. It's not an excuse to get lazy and walk away and say, oh, I never have to deal with it, because if you do that, there's a chance that things go wrong and you're not present-minded enough to notice it until something bad happens. So anytime we automate an element of the farm we were previously doing manually, the first month or so, we're very diligent to take note of any issues, any leaks, any problems, anything that's unpredictable, and address those things. And then after that period, we can walk away feeling confident, checking in, monitoring way less frequently. Just introduced all the chicks to the brooder. Very good batch so far. Only 3 dead out of over 600. And you can see they're starting to find the waters over in that corner just on their own. And they're quite loud and curious because I literally just finished unloading them moments ago. So they'll spend the next little bit of time settling in. Chicks are settled in. They're getting close to a week old, and you can see putting on wing feathers already. We're rationing their feed again this year. It's something we trialed with in year 1, and then year 2 we gave them a daily ration all at once, but we're doing 3 times feeding a day. And you can see I've got a number of the lights off right now. It's kind of expectedly warm today, in the 80s in here at least, and close to 80 outside, but happy to see them settled into their space really nicely. And we've got turkeys doing our first ever spring batch of turkeys, which is exciting. We have wholesale demand for turkeys this year. So we've only ever gotten them in August and grown them out for the holiday, but we'll have some turkeys we're processing in late June. So it'll be fun to have them out on the pasture this spring. You can see way more so than the chickens, even at this age. The turkeys are extremely curious about my presence. I always notice from day one, the chickens don't really want a whole lot to do with you, but the turkeys, on the other hand, anytime you're in here or checking on them, servicing the brooder, they come right up to you and inquire as to what you're up to. So the timing didn't work out last year for us to have a spring batch of pigs on the farm, but alas, this year it worked out that we do. So we have 8 pigs entering a brand new forest paddock. We're transitioning where they've been in the past to grass establishment and final brush removal. So won't have pigs in there anytime soon again, but we have additional acreage of forest on the farm that is well suited to their impact, and happy to have them back. They're always fun. We introduced them in this hard paneled introductory pen because even though they are trained to hot wire when they arrive on the farm, they can be so spooked by the transition in transport that in the past we've seen them just burst through the line. And so by introducing them in here for several days and up to a week, they get settled in, they get to know our voices, they know that this is where their food is, and they just don't have the same nerves as they do upon arrival. Hi. Hello. But in the next couple days, we'll be taking them out of here and giving them same size paddock as normal with the 2 hot lines. And it'll be a beautiful thing to see pigs in the woods once again and to document this transformation. We get the pigs from Warren Wilson College, who has a many years long breeding program, primarily using Berkshire and Tamworth genetics. And in the past, the pigs we've had have really more exclusively shown Berkshire physical traits. But these guys, it's a bit new for us. They're much more on the Tamworth side with the boar that was the father. And you can see the difference in coloration. We've got a couple of these black and whites, which look like the standard Berkshire, and then a bunch of these brown ones that have some speckles that are more on the Tamworth side. Beautiful spring day. Like I said in my last video, March is an oddball month where some days are cold and windy and rainy and others are 78 and sunny. So we're enjoying days like this. Excited to have animals back on the farm and be really dialed in for our 3rd season with our systems, and we'll share those along the way with you as the season progresses. Thanks for watching another video, and we'll see you next time.